Hello.
Hello, hello.
Okay. Sorry for the little technical difficulties.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
Can you hear the background music?
Oh, no, I don't hear any music. Are you
Okay.
playing music? Okay.
I was playing music.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear my cats in the background.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, hello, everybody. It's me, Mocha Mommy, and I have a guest with me. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Sammy Bliss. I have a channel on YouTube. I also co-host a podcast with my husband. It's an AMBW channel. It's called Lines Between the Stars. And I'm also on Clubhouse as Sammy Bliss as well.
Oh, good. So hopefully in the comments, you'll be able to leave all of your socials in the contact so we can see.
Okay.
And check you guys out because I really like your podcast.
Thank you.
You guys are so cute. And my husband was saying like the other day, he's like, see, his wife watches Star Trek. And I'm like, oh, see, you make me feel bad. But like also too, the mukbangs, like I don't know what it is about ASMR. I love it. And I just like when you crinkle like all the packages, I'm like, oh, it's like it's like scratching an itch you didn't know you had. Like I love it. Like I love it. I don't know what is about it. I got really into it during the quarantine. I guess maybe because of stress, but yeah, I totally love it. So
Yeah,
you guys
it's good content, I think. Like just eating sweets, you know, and enjoying yourself.
Right, yeah. And I really appreciate that. So tell me a little bit about your experience with online dating.
So I did the typical online dating apps, OkCupid. I remember in the beginning, I was on there. It was okay. I don't think the qualities that you get, they're better than what you get from what's that app? The one with the
like Tinder or
Tinder, yeah.
Okay.
It's way better than Tinder, but you know, it could be better. What else did I was on Bumble. Bumble is interesting because it lets women make the first move. And I like that because, you know, we have to be more proactive as women, I believe, instead of just sitting back.
Okay.
What else? And then I tried Tinder for a day. I couldn't last.
Really? So what was it about Tinder? Because, you know, that being the #1 app, tell me what your experience was.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it is #1. My experience was just like swiping, and the matches were very, very poor. Like, I didn't like the matches. And the pictures that the men have, like, their age is pretty young as well, too. So it seemed like it's filled with immature people.
Right. You know, that's so interesting that you said that, because I know my experience. I mean, I never really used online dating. So my introduction to it was through a friend of mine who had gotten divorced a little over 2 years ago. And I was just like, let's just do it. Let's just put up a profile. Let's just do it. And let's just work together. And then she just was so upset with just what her matches were. And again, using Tinder. And that's when I kind of started talking to other people closer to my age who were using dating apps. And that's when I decided, like, you know, I love my friend dearly. You know, my friend Kenya, I love her dearly. But I felt like we had an agreement to where I will help you with your profile with all the things that I've learned, but you have to let me pick. And that's when I kind of started realizing, like, okay, what's going on with this algorithm and how is it that we can do better? So what I kind of found was that then I went to a battle buddy of mine. I'm sorry, someone I was in the Army with, someone I had served with, went on to work for one of the big online dating companies. And he had given me a lot of inside information as well. And this is kind of like right around that time when that study was going around, like Black women are least preferred. And then he just basically broke it down, what was happening with the algorithm and Black women and their in the market research, because that's the department he was in. And it just, he was telling me that even though they're giving women, Black women, particularly 30-day trials, Black women would not even make it past day 10.
They wouldn't last.
They wouldn't make it past day 10. Like as far as like continuing to interact with the app past 10 days.
Oh, okay.
So if you get like 100 Black women, 70 of them are done by day 10.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Well, he had said it was a lot of things. And it was depending on market by market, just like Tinder is market by market. I found that with Tinder, with Austin being such a young city, if someone lived closer to downtown, they're getting all college students. But if you put in a suburban zip code, you're getting people closer to your age. And it's the same thing with Match. Well, I just called it out, but basically, many of the users are basically are non-Black, and that will deter a lot of Black women.
Because Black women prefer Black men,
right.
and that is our weakness, I think.
Right, and then because what's happened is if a Black woman were to start a profile in a large market, like a Dallas or Los Angeles or Miami, 80% of her matches are not going to be Black men, and that will take a woman off the app.
That's true. Yeah.
So
it is, it is a fear of expanding your comfort zone, because in order to have the best matches, you have to open yourself up.
Right.
To like, if you're into men, then open up your options to all men instead of just a specific type of men. And if you're into like both men and women, same thing. There aren't a lot of studies on non-heterosexual individuals looking for online dating, so
that's true.
I can't really speak on that. So,
right. I think
if anyone has experience, please feel free to comment.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with like I think there are apps specifically for that community, but then but no heterosexual people are on that app. So for people who are like on a broader spectrum, there's really no app. So I guess maybe the market just has to kind of dictate that,
Yeah. Speaking of a bigger, like, I guess, spectrum of gender identities and sexualities, I interviewed a lady, Michelle, from what was it, Quiver Dating. I found her on Clubhouse, and she agreed to have an interview with me, and she's building a dating app for people of color, people who don't fit a specific mold in society. And so Quiver Dating, check it out. I also posted the long interview on my channel, the Samri Bliss channel. And she has a lot of good points that she made about how dating apps, like think of algorithms, the zeros and ones in computer programming. She was talking about how they're designed, whenever you're designing an app, whoever is designing it has a lot of say as to the bias that it has, because humans have bias. And if it's being created by, white men, then it's going to favor white men and white people, right? So they're not gonna really know the struggles that Black women specifically have. So it's, she's working towards like making an app that'll favor Black women. So maybe women will last on that app. I don't know.
Right. And I mean, and just, we had a question in the chat here. She was asking, Is it that Black women don't interact with non-white men that they are attracted to? What's their exit from the app by choice? Well, typically what they'll say is like, well, I'm not getting any matches. Well, actually you have 37 matches, but because only 3 of them are Black, and then those guys didn't get back to you. Now you're saying you don't have any matches. That's what's actually happening. And that was actually what was happening to my friend. Like, she was getting a lot of, and also too, the age range. That was another thing, because she at the time was like 44, but then the guys who were getting at her were like early to mid 30s.
Yeah.
So have you experienced that? I mean, the age range, like a younger age range than you actually are?
So when I started online dating, I was 26. I think they were around my age, actually. So I didn't have a lot of trouble. I think it might be because of where I live. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and there's way more men than women who are interested in online dating. So, there's a lot of tech bros here. So the numbers are in our favor, We're actually very, if we're smart about it, then you can always do well, I believe. Right.
Yeah. And it's the same thing here. And I live in Austin, Texas, and it's the same thing. The ratios are strongly in our favor. So, it's like one of those cities. It's like there's certain zip codes in Austin where it's something like 1 woman for every 5 men because of where it's located.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's because of where it's located, especially with
the tech hub.
Tech coming to town, right around that area. So, if I were to take if I were to be like wing chick for the day, or to take some girls freestyling, and I take them right around that particular area, they're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's how it is, because especially since Electronic Arts, like EA Sports, they moved here. Google has a hub here. Apple has a hub here.
Nice.
Of course, Texas Instruments and Dell, those are the 2 big ones. And now Tesla and Boring Company will be moving here. And Amazon will be having a new warehouse, and then Louis Vuitton will be moving here. So,
wow. I'm stuck on the whole Boeing part, because Boeing is big in the Pacific Northwest, but they're kind of moving out because of the price of things. It's getting pretty expensive around here. But anyways, they'll do what's best for themselves. So I tried all those apps, and then I settled on, and all of them are free. I didn't pay a dime on either of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's only actually, I was advising a man who's interested in online dating, and he was saying that he never gets any traction, and I was suggesting maybe he needs to pay, because there's a lot of men on online dating apps. And I think it's you who like gave me that idea. And I told them that, because men need to pay to play, kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'm gonna see if I can share my screen a bit, because there was something I wanted to show you guys. But basically, one of the rumors kind of going around is that 90% of women are only choosing 10% of the men, right, on these dating apps. So I just kind of want to show you. Can you guys see that?
It's loading right now.
Okay.
I can see it now.
Okay, so this is basically Match for 2021. Okay, so basically this whole thing, they kind of make it seem like it's a bunch of really, really petty women, but the reality is, when you kind of look at it, over 80% of Match's users are men. So if you sign up for a free trial, right, you're gonna find you're gonna get a lot more than if a man your exact same age, like if you have a twin brother and you guys both sign up at the same time, you are going to get way more free features and way more stuff included, because you're a woman and you are the prize, you are the sought after customer, right? Exactly. And if you take a look at Bumble, Let's show you this one here.
Especially Bumble, because
yeah, Bumble, again, a ratio that really favors you. Basically 70% of Bumble users are male. And 74% of Tinder users are male. So this whole thing about, Black women being at the bottom of the algorithm, there's no statistical possible way that you can end up, that any woman could end up at the bottom of an algorithm. Can you guys still hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like, statistically, there's no way that you're going to end up at the bottom of an algorithm. So what we just have to do is we have to learn how to maximize that algorithm for our best interest. And that the reason why 90% of women are going for the top 10% of men, number one, because we're so outnumbered. And then number two, the app is prioritizing the paid male profiles. So if you're on a free trial, you can end up lost in the sauce if you're a man. But the men who are paying will automatically, because they're paying. So of course, every single female that comes on the app, that man is going to get access to. So there's this whole thing about women being petty on dating apps. And really it's because, we make up such a small percentage. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, we get to be picky. We're the ones who choose. So
right. That's true.
Yeah. And I think for Black women, it's the best mindset to have when online dating is I'm the prize and my race doesn't make me any less than anyone. My hair texture doesn't make me any less, my skin tone or anything. So you need to have a lot of self-esteem because I did quit the apps a lot of times. Like I had to take a break because of like all the low quality men who I was seeing. I was like, I need to take a break, get, focused, or like not focused, but like I wanted to focus more on myself.
Right.
And what I actually wanted in a person, in a partner. And I was like, okay, what do I value? Like I thought of like, I'm not religious, but I was thinking of like, what is love? Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, all that stuff. So I was like, okay, let me look for men who are not, who are these traits like patient, kind, all that stuff. So that's how I kind of vetted men, those apps. And the app that where I met my husband on is called Coffee Meets Bagel.
Okay.
It's a really small app. It doesn't have a lot of people on it. It's not even the top 10.
Right.
According to Match.com. But it has pretty quality matches because you're not just like swiping endlessly. You actually have to look at the the pictures and the description and interact with the person because it only gives you like 3 or 5 matches a day.
Ooh.
So, and you can't get more unless you pay money. So, I did it free. So I just settled with just looking at those 5 profiles. And then, like Sam actually, he was telling me that his experience on dating apps was pretty depressing because he's an Asian man and like the OkCupid study also said that out of the male gender, Asian men are the least whatever desired or whatever like you want to call it, and he wasn't getting any matches. But on Coffee Meets Bagel, he did match with a lot of Black women who are into Asian culture. And I think the whole trend of like K-pop and J-pop and K-drama and stuff like that, it's like increasing the younger Black girls and Black women are more interested in other cultures now because of that.
Yeah, I know. I have a 17-year-old, and oh my gosh. I mean, I don't know. I don't think she to me, like the best dating app, I guess, for teenage girls would be Metopia or some video game, one of those online. I mean, because really, she gets a lot of attention from that, being a girl in some of these games and these gaming platforms. But with Black Feminine Universe, this is also an issue with Black women, that when you get so many matches that you get overwhelmed. That's such a common occurrence. And when I came out with my first online dating video, someone had contacted me and then sent a comment, and then we contacted. Yeah, she was getting like 50. She had like 50 matches in one day.
Oh, okay.
And so I
mean, it is a good thing, right?
Yeah, right. And I mean, so it was great for the confidence boost, but then how do you sort through all of that? Well, then we had to start talking about filters to exclude, and that's where standards come in. Like, it's like you don't have this abundant mindset. You have a scarcity mindset, and then all of a sudden you're faced with abundance. And that's where standards had to come in. Like, you have to start filtering out what it is you don't want.
Exactly.
You know? And
So I love what you said about if you start from a scarcity mindset and then you're just like overwhelmed with all these like random people going like, hey, hi, hey, hello, hi, hey. I would scroll through and just like nothing original. Like, I guess like you get to be more, you can tell who's more interested and who's not, or who is more creative, who actually read your, profile and description. If they comment something about like, oh, you mentioned in your blah blah that you enjoy long walks by the beach, let's go to this beach nearby, and then I'll be like, oh, that's interesting, right?
Right.
So,
so that's so true.
I would also just block and not even read a lot of those messages, especially from like the groups that I'm not interested in. I'm just like, just ignore them.
Right. And I think that had a lot to do with, to how to sort stuff out. I was like, okay, immediately, anybody in a shirtless bathroom selfie, immediately delete and block.
Exactly. Yeah.
Immediately. That's not even worth engaging in conversation with. And then after that, maybe just like me and Kenya, we would just pick a thing. We say, okay, we'll do Timothy Tuesday. So any guy whose name starts with a T, we'll start to just look through them, because it was really a lot. And, you think, 44-year-old divorced Black woman with a kid, who is on a wellness fitness journey, you would think not a lot of options. Oh no, she had a lot of options, and we had to really start weeding through them. And like you said, you really have to start picking your priorities and setting up your standards, because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, you have to examine what you value in others and in yourself, so that you're more discerning and more focused, because it can be pretty overwhelming, like Fem said. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is a good one. Joe, excellent right there. But another thing too is it's really important to kind of cultivate your interests and then cultivate the algorithm. What do you think about the fact that so many Black women, in my opinion, are just kind of sitting on the sidelines? Like they're like, well, I have to finish school, or well, I have to lose weight. Well, I have to. Do you suggest that they wait or just put up a profile and see what is your suggestion?
No, don't wait. Like, practice makes better, not perfect, but
right.
like don't look towards perfection. So just jump into it, just do it, right? The Nike slogan. Like
Right.
unless you practice, then you won't know what to say when someone says, "Oh, what are your priorities or what are your goals in life?" All that stuff. You need to have practice with like men you're not really interested in. You can just
Right.
like chat with them as practice
Right.
for when the guy who you really want comes over, then you'll be like more comfortable. For instance, since I started doing this podcasting, I've noticed how I'm more confident in speaking. I look people in the eye, and I don't have as many like filler words, and I actually got better in interviewing because of practice from podcasting. So like you need to practice talking to, you know, all kinds of men, different. I mean, like you don't have to endure, you know, obviously like whatever, like really bad behavior from men, obviously.
Right.
And you also mentioned when we spoke about feed the beast, block and report profiles that you don't want, or like that have insulted you or offended you in any way. You don't need to deal with that. And that's also how you help out the algorithm, is by getting rid of profiles that are trash, right?
Right.
Like, because
Exactly.
it'll tell the app makers that, okay, these profiles are not even, maybe they're bots or I don't know, like
Right.
they don't even need to be in it because there's a lot of men, and if you like eliminate most of the trash, then there will be more quality for the, you know, other women as well.
Exactly. And I think that that was another thing that people didn't realize, that by blocking, by reporting, and by you know, and by even if you had like a bad match, that actually improves your algorithm. Like your interactions, even if you see and you block every single one of them, you have actually improved your algorithm. So and that takes time, which is
It
why
does.
and this is why, even though if you're not at a certain place in your life, to put that time in now to make your algorithm look better. Like, so even if you get on and you're on it for 10 days and it's a bunch of losers, because that's most likely on mostly everybody, and especially if you're on the free trial.
Yeah.
Okay? Definitely keep on working it, because and devote just a little bit of time to it every week, you know.
Yeah.
Because
And
sitting on the side, I mean, while you're on your weight loss journey, while you're on your journey to find the right therapist, while you're working on your career, and just put a little bit of time every day, put a little bit, I mean, not every day, every week, just put a certain amount of time when you're going to make phone calls, when you're going to interact, when you're going to update your profile, like just devote a little bit of time to it now, so that way when you're at the place you want to be, you've already cultivated an algorithm that serves you.
Yeah, and it is important to note that you are competing with women of all different backgrounds and colors. So you have to put yourself out there, play the game to win, right? All's fair in love and war. So do what you need to do to get what you want.
Right. And I think that that's one of the things, because I mean, I know my friend, she's lost 40 pounds since then, in the 2 years that she's been on there. And I was like, this is perfect. Just kind of go start talking to people. Like, maybe put that as part of your profile. You'll be surprised. There's a lot of people who are the same exact journey you're on. So, because sitting on the sidelines, and also too, sometimes when you're vetting the men, you're also vetting that app. Because you might realize that app might not be great in that market. Like my older sister, some of the newer apps that are out, like Hinge, or like you said, Coffee Meets Bagel, they don't do great in the 45 and up crowd.
Yeah,
so,
it's mostly for like younger,
right?
Or
exactly.
People just like fooling around. I don't know.
Right.
So most of the profiles were just like a joke. Like, I'm like, why would anyone post things like this? It's just
right.
But
And,
it's the most popular, so what does
right.
that say about people?
Right. And again, I mean, and again, sometimes, like I had said, like some people who live downtown, Tinder was awful for them. But when they did it in the burbs, it was great. Sometimes when they did, yeah. And sometimes when they did Tinder, like right now we have like a lot of seasonal area, right? Like around Lake Travis, Ladybird Lake, you use that zip code, you might have a lot of success. But then around the holidays, you might have more success in the burbs because you got a lot of people home visiting their family and they want to do something for New Year's. So again, it really takes investing just a little bit of time every week to constantly keep cultivating.
Exactly. Yeah. Practice.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned your friend had kids and she's in her 40s.
Yeah.
So for women, I think especially for Black women, we age pretty well. And, that's an advantage we have over other women.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why Black women shouldn't be afraid of, Black women of, an older age. The Pink Pill mentioned this. She also has a course on it about how, just don't be afraid. Any age, even younger ages, just go out and interact with people. And, I had assumed actually when I started online dating that there would be people who would be racist, but I never experienced anything like that.
Wow.
No one mentioned my skin tone or people would say oh, blah, blah, chocolate, oh, blah, blah, vanilla. I don't know. I would just block them.
Exactly.
I wouldn't consider them to be racist. It's just, people are into what they're into. And you also have to, if you're going to be open to all races, then you also have to be open with the different terms people use to describe Black women, like chocolate.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or if they say, oh, your skin tone is so smooth and beautiful, just take it as a compliment. Don't go on a whole rant or tirade about
give them a whole class.
No. You don't need to give anyone a lesson or lecture on race theory or whatever. That's not your job.
Right. Exactly. And so Afrocentric Women, this is one content creator you guys should definitely subscribe to. She's got a lot of really, really good dating strategy. As far as the strategy part of it, she definitely is one of the best strategists out there, I think. But my whole concern is I got to get you guys kind of out. I got to kind of get your back off the wall. You guys got to get out there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just start by kind of getting out there, by just putting up the profile and then just making the absolute best profile that weeds out quality, that weeds out, And so one of the things that I always suggest is say a full body shot, even if you are plus size, put it out there. Because believe it or not, it doesn't deter as many people as you think. Put it out there. It doesn't deter, especially if you know how to dress well for your body.
I can share my I have a whole slide for that here.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. I would love that.
And do you see it?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. Nice. Cool. So like you said, the whole body shot, complementary colors, wear, dresses, and I made a whole, this is my drawing. Full body shots, not just your face or chest and up, just full body shot. Travel, have interesting places. I guess, because of the situation, we can't really travel, but you can still travel within the US. You can travel to Mexico, I believe. They're pretty open. wear makeup, always smile. You know, you shouldn't have a picture of you sulking or frowning. Let's see. Next. And okay. So this one might be controversial, but you know, it was one advice I got, or like something that a Black British woman noticed, is that when she chose her race to be white instead of Black, she got like better quality matches. So all's fair in love and war. Take it if you want. Okay. And when you're posting pictures of you with your friends, make friends with non-Black women, right? Because if you're interested in non-Black men, they like seeing that you're okay with, you know, potentially if they bring you home to their mom and sister and aunts, they don't want you to fight with them or be jealous of them, right? So you need to show them, oh, okay, I'm okay with your, I don't know, sister, ex-girlfriend, blah, blah, being white or Asian.
Right.
And it's okay. I'm pretty quote unquote Oreo, like I'm a weeb, I'm into Asian cultures. So be into weird things, nerdy things. I love the whole Issa Rae Awkward Black Girl series because it really spoke to me.
Oh yeah.
Exercise, practice, etiquette, you know, like not only forks and spoons to use at a dinner, but like how to introduce people, or talk to those who are like VIP or all that stuff. Exercise, that's really important. It's nice to look good and feel good. And
Right.
that also increases your confidence in the dating market. So you're on the same level as like any other woman.
Right.
To be your best. And also get therapy. I really recommend, I think it's called BetterHelp.
Right.
Right. I got on it. I'm on it. I'm getting therapy on it. Join meetup groups. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, with like exercise just in general, it's just a way to meet people. I mean, especially if it's just a way to meet people. Because I know sometimes those of us who are on like a wellness journey, sometimes we take it, we make it so insular, right? Like we don't do group fitness or join, maybe a support group or do any kind of food co-ops or cooking classes. Like definitely if you're on a wellness journey, take that with you into the dating market, because it's not as if Black women are the only fat people in America. Like stop saying that. Like we're not the only group that struggles with our weight. And there's a lot of people who are on the same journey you're on, and you can really use that to capitalize on it. So please, ladies, don't keep it to yourself, get out there.
Yeah, join groups, make friends, focus on different hobbies and activities, because you need to have something to talk about, right? When you're, even if you're in a relationship, you need to have your own interests and activities. Like I'm married and we each do our own things. We have our own friends. No one has to like get rid of their friends when they're in a relationship. And also Bumble has this option to like make friends and like meet up with other women.
Oh yeah.
I believe they still have that feature. So I really recommend that. Let's see. And then also make sure you don't select any like for your preference. Just choose no preference. Oh, it's being covered. Yeah, it's under other. I wrote no preference, so just choose no preference, like so that you're getting everything, and then you can weed out what you don't want instead of choosing. I mean, like I don't recommend choosing either of these, because Men are men. Like there's evil men of all colors. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I know that there's a private group that I'm a part of, and one of the things, a big mistake that I'm seeing women doing is they are just automatically swiping left on all the African American men. And I said to myself, that's a horrible idea. Simply because even if you're not interested in that, and again, I have my own reservations about that, but even if you're not interested, it is in your best interest. If that guy has other things that you might want, you might want to interact with that profile simply because it can feed you, the algorithm will continue to feed you that demographic. Like, for instance, if he's the right age, the right height, in the right zip code, and the right income level, or whatever it is that your settings are, right? If he's that right, still engage with it. And then how you handle it afterward, how you handle the person afterwards, is going to be, but make sure you, because if you get, a young professional in the right area that happens to be Black, you do not want the algorithm to say you don't want that. You want to pick it, pick it, and then how you interact with the individual afterwards. And again, I mean, I don't know how somehow expanding your options came with eliminating certain. I don't know how that's synonymous, but that's a whole different live stream. But like what I'm saying is, let's just make it a point to interact with just things that interact with your value system, because and depending on what happens with the person, and
that's how you actually test your values, is if you can pick a Black man who matches all your values, and you're like, oh, it expands your perceptions. It kind of tests your limits, and I think it's a good thing. It's kind of like exercising your muscles, right?
Right.
You need to lift heavier weights. And I did date Black men, so I didn't completely eliminate them. I dated Abesha man once. Abesha is like East African.
Right.
And then you can actually tell, okay, what do I like? What don't I like from that culture? I also was talking to a Black man who is in tech on a dating app. And it was interesting. He was nice. I just got more interested in my husband. So
of course. Right. And
good point.
Yeah, but I just think it's like, as we're perfecting we have to think of it as not about always the person, but sometimes the algorithm, right? So clearly, there were people who I'm like, clearly this guy is not is not a nice guy, clearly but there's something that, but there are certain criteria that he meets. So therefore, I'll interact with that profile. If I'll interact with the man, that's a whole different situation. But let me just try, because I want more profiles that look like this to come into me, right? So that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Like, so if you're getting like master's degree professional who are under or over 35, who live in the right zip code, then I would definitely interact with that profile. Now, with the actual man itself, that's because you want to improve your algorithm. Like, that's what this is about.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. It's all about machine learning. And my understanding of machine learning, how I explain it, is you're basically telling the machine, like, it only understands ones and zeros. You're telling it, okay, this is what I want, and this is what I don't want. So it will show you what you want more often. Right. So when you're choosing a profile, no matter the color, for instance, like the Black man I chose, like, he's in tech, so that's one data point, right? So it'll show me, like maybe men in tech. He, I don't know, comes from a 2-parent household. I don't know, maybe, it kind of like you're seeing it like indirectly, even though you're not specifically interested in them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
and yeah, and like I was saying, like if it's not about, okay, the thing about it is not because I'm seeing like a lot of people saying, no, I don't do this, I don't see this, but it's kind of like you're swiping right on the data points, right? You're not the person, right? Because this is kind of about the algorithm, right? So if like when me and my friend were kind of going over her latest profile, it wasn't really about the guy per se. Really, we were trying to optimize that zip code because right now where we are, there's a certain zip code just because of what's happening in the industry and things that are happening economically. And then this time of year, seasonal business, that zip code has a lot of value right now. And we want to work that zip code. So really, it doesn't really matter the guy. We're trying to work the zip code. You know what I mean? And then eventually we can pick the best from that lot because we want to feed the algorithm saying like, give me this zip code this time of year because right now, this is where things are popping, right? So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like how you interact with the person, that's a whole nother situation. But right now you want to optimize this zip code during this season because right now the summer is just kind of where this particular place is popping.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely. And you don't have to pick the zip code you live in if you don't live in a nice, well-to-do zip code. Just pick one that's like general, even for safety reasons. Pick a zip code, for instance, like in Seattle, instead of like the specific city where you live, right? You don't want people to stalk you or
right. So. Yeah, I never suggest picking your own zip code. I never suggest that. I always suggest like the most centrally located places. And for initial meetups, I always suggest the most centrally located places because I know safety is a big issue. Safety that's keeping a lot of Black women out of the dating market is safety.
I know that there was a Google Voice number the whole time, and I never gave out my real phone number. I always gave out my Google number, and whenever I went and met up with a man, I would tell my brother, okay, I'm going to this restaurant, I'm going to this hiking spot. I would even share my Google address. There's a way to like make it so that it's constantly updating the other person where you are. And also like my brother also paid like for 6 months of he was really concerned about my safety. So like, oh, just I'll pay for it. Just go to this like events and adventures. There's this company that sets up different events for singles to meet up at, and they do background checks for everyone that is in events and adventures. I'm not being sponsored. I just prefer the whole background check aspect of it. I appreciate that. And I was able to go to all these like different interesting like comedy nights, magic shows, like aquariums and hiking and all kinds of different restaurants and cities I've never been to around here. I'm like, I never knew this existed. So it's really cool program if you're interested.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Like, I mean, I think, meetups were so great, especially when I was in the military, being stationed in different places. I was always able to find a network. And I'm seeing Alchemy Goddess says that she's in Houston and she should have picked a nicer. Child, Houston is a gold mine, girl. That's a gold mine, especially if you're like me and your number one interest is sports. Simply because you pretty much are dealing with a playoff caliber team all year long. All year long. I mean, from baseball to sometimes basketball to football, you're constantly dealing with playoffs. So if you can isolate the high-end sports bars and you can learn how to freestyle there. Also, another tip for you in Houston. Houston has a lot of transplants right now. Okay. Houston has, so, Texas is the state that most people migrate to from other states, right? So if you're on your online dating app, right, and you're looking and the sports teams in your area, the local sports teams. So what the Texas teams look like, what the Louisiana teams look like. Anytime you see an out-of-state sports jersey or baseball cap, interact with that profile. Why? Because chances are that guy relocated for his career. So if you're in Houston, Texas, and you are going through your matches or whatever, and you see a guy with a Chicago Bears jersey, you want to interact with that profile because chances are that guy was relocated here for his career. If you are here in Houston and you all of a sudden you see a lot of Dodgers, you see a lot of San Diego caps, you see a lot of interact with that profile, because I'm telling you, that's Texas right now. That's how Texas women are winning. Like, because you're able to isolate the guys with the good jobs simply by their sports affiliations. And Texas women are, they have their pulse on sports a lot. So, I mean, definitely Houston's a good area. And I'm grateful that you have a way to stay. And I'm grateful you have a way to stay safe. Okay, thank you, N.R. Simmons, because that's a good one too, right? That's a really good one.
And I'm going to share another website that I really recommend as far as like algorithm. I go to here. Do you see, I'm not sure what you can see. It's the Monster Match website.
Yes, that was a good one. When you did that, yeah.
It's a website that it's not showing. Maybe I should stop and then share again.
Oh, thank you, TT, for the super chat. That's the first time I've ever gotten a super chat. Wow.
Ooh, nice.
That's a good question. I really don't know. I guess you would have to block your phone number, home address from appearing on Google search. That's a good question. I have no idea. I would think probably, I would think probably like one of those external software packages you buy, like the, because I know my spouse works with that. Like,
I paid for a service.
Yeah.
That goes around and scrapes the web for whatever data point that I put in.
Right.
So it gets rid of my name from different like pages, yellow pages, white pages, blah blah. So you can put. Let me see what it's called.
It's something with a duck. I just remember my spouse was doing it too. Thank you very much, Afrocentric Woman, and your channel is amazing too. Like, I just definitely hope that you guys check it out. Because it's delete me. Okay. But yeah, just definitely something that can keep your safety in mind. Because I just even remember when we saw that profile of that guy with the Chicago Bears jersey, and I said, interact with him. And I said, and then ask him, did he ever play high school football? Man, that dude gave us all of his business. I mean, he told us when he played, who he played for, NFL players that had went to his high school. I mean, and then when we ran it through like Google and been verified, we tracked down his childhood address and where his auntie lives in Illinois. Like, because just by talking about sports, we got him to just talk about so much. You still there?
It's not showing the website. I'm sharing it, but it's not showing it.
Okay, hold on. Let me try to. Here we go. Yeah, let me try. Okay. I'll try it on my end. Refresh. There we go.
It's showing now. I'm not sure what.
Okay,
happened,
good.
But anyway, so this is monstermatch.hiddenswitch.com, and then on the home page you can like play this game. to find out how dating apps really work. And Hidden Switch is a website designed by these men, and they work for tech companies, so they really know what they're talking about. Like they're into algorithms, and they wanted to know why people were not finding matches that they want. And this is the famous 2014 OkCupid study that people like throwing in Black women's faces, unfortunately. So this is actually, according to OkCupid, Asian women are doing the best. Mm-hmm. They're rated, only Latino men rate their own women above Asian women. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, yeah. And then for Black women, the only positive number is from Black men. And yeah. And whenever you're looking at these studies, you should ask yourself, there's always a bias in how different data points are interpreted, right? Because data points are not, they don't have bias on their own, but when a human interprets them, they spin it how they want it, so that the world thinks a certain way.
Right.
Because there's this term called social or psychosocial, or like meta psychosocial something. That's a science of how to manipulate social psychology of people to make them feel a certain way. So how do you make Black women feel bad about themselves? Interpret the data in a certain way that makes us look bad, or undesirable, or unattractive to men in general. And this is just from the Match.com, because Match.com has bought a lot of dating apps. They're kind of a mega player in the industry.
They are.
I mean, like, if they really want us to believe this study, they should release the data points so we could interpret it the way we want, but they're not releasing it. It's really annoying. Like, I don't know where to find the data points so I can like analyze it myself, because when you think of data points, when you go to school, here, let me put some, I'm going to draw a graph here. So here's the X and Y axis, right? And then there's like, X, and then there's like different data points aggregated here. I don't know if you can see it. And then there's like points away over here or over here. And in order for dating apps or machine learning apps or algorithms to work, people need to like, create a slope, right? Oops.
Right.
So like y equals x, blah, blah. And then they get rid of these points because they don't help out with the slope. And it tends to be that these data points are like Black women who are only interested in Black men, for instance.
Right.
Or Asian men who are only interested in Asian women.
Right.
So then we tend to be discarded. So they want the app to work for the most, like, whoever pays the most money, and like the majority as far as like 2021 is white people in the US, so they would want it to work most for white men, right? So they will like, only accept data points that go along this slope, right? And then get rid of these that don't match what they want. So that's basically how I'm interpreting it.
Right. And exactly. And also we have to realize that at the time, OkCupid was the sixth, 6th most popular dating app. So they were not even in the top 5. They were losing a lot of ground to some of the newer apps that were coming on the market, particularly Hinge. And they needed to come out with something controversial to get people riled up. And so, of course, Black women's outrage usually generates money. So that's one reason why. And number 2, it was a way for their white male constituents who made up the majority of the app to feel better about their competition.
Yep.
So really, that's what it was about. This really was about making Black women angry and making white men feel better about themselves, which is why they came out with that study the way that they did. So if you notice, Tinder would never say anything like that. And they're the big boy on the block. Why? Because they want more women, and it doesn't matter what race of woman you are. They just want more women, period. So Tinder and Hinge will put Black women on commercials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So now Match is starting to acquire like a lot of different apps, but back then, OkCupid was kind of fighting for its life, and that's how they were doing it. It was a marketing ploy.
Yep. And the best marketing strategy out there now is to piss off Black women, because we always provide the fuel for, especially like if you notice fashion companies, they know how to, take pictures that are colorists or texturists or featurist or blah blahist. And the whole like H&M ad with the Black boy, for instance. I also made a video about that. Right. And whenever their stock market, their prices or like the value per share drops, they're like, okay, let's piss off. There's always a card they play. They're like, if anything, we have this card that is piss off Black women, because we provide all the marketing, all the unpaid marketing, by the way, because we go on Twitter, we go on all social media sites, we might go protesting in major cities, we go on TV and news shows and complain about, H&M is racist, blah blah, but then what other groups of people hear is, what's H&M doing? Let's invest in their stocks, right?
Exactly.
The best time to buy a stock is when it's the lowest, and it tends to go low when there's something controversial. So they buy up the stocks, and then it rises up. So kind of like, it's like what is the machine that like pumps up the heart when it stops? So like it helps them out. So that's why they do it. They do it by hurting our self-esteem and pissing us off. It always works.
Thank you, Selfish Love, for the super chat. I'm trying to show it on the screen. I'm still so muted in here. Thank you for the super chat. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. And really, I'm just doing this because I want you guys to like win out there, because there are so many great opportunities for you guys to learn and to grow. And like I said in my first online dating video, it's really going to be like Little League. It's really about making sure that you're building that confidence, that you're building that strategy, that you're out there just even triangulating the places where you want to be. And I know that there's like a lot of debate about the coffee date thing. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. In my opinion, I think they could be strategic in the point where if you're putting them in the right zip code and you're multitasking, it might really help you to just keep those boundaries, because boundaries is a big issue. So what were some of your boundaries when you were online dating and meeting new people to make sure that you stayed safe and made sure that you adhered to your priorities? Because boundaries is one of the biggest issues that I'm finding that we're having.
Yeah. So, for one, I don't reveal everything about myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where I live, obviously, or um, my like specific PII kind of stuff, like personal identifiable information, blah blah. I actually didn't have my real name on the dating apps.
Right. Right.
um, so you know, and also you need to clean up your social media.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do research on you.
Right.
And I mean, as you should as well, right? When you're dating a person, you'll be like, so and so on Facebook, are they drinking or doing drugs? You know, like all that stuff.
Right.
Clean up your Twitter, clean up your Facebook. Of course, like I always used Google Voice. I never gave out my real number, my real name, not even age. Like they don't need to know what your age is. Like a lot of questions people don't need to know.
Right.
Unless they're more serious, unless it's like it's the second or third date. I don't know. Like even then, you just need to be more careful about
Mm-hmm.
keeping yourself sacred, and that involves being keeping things to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
being private,
Right.
not paranoid though. Don't be
Right.
paranoid.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also too, like, the reason why I think like, because first of all, you're just trying to get out there. And when you're first trying to get out there, it's like, let's just um, start small, number one. And two, really work on your conversation initiation, how to keep conversations going, and then how to say no. So coffee dates is real easy to say no, right? Because you can keep it to 45 minutes. Let's learn how to say no.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and I think that they're easy to say no.
Yeah. And don't feel
Yeah.
pressured to do anything out of your comfort zone just because they paid $300 on a freaking date. Like,
Right,
or
right.
however much.
Right.
You're not on an auction block for like, oh, per this amount, you should give up this. Or
Right,
this.
exactly.
Like, so stupid. Like, just, it's not, yeah. Like, all these talks about that just like
Right.
kind of irks me.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, it's not only like about having standards or self-respect for yourself. It's just people from different cultures like that you respect. They wouldn't do stuff like that. They wouldn't expect you to, for instance, I don't know, do sexual acts with them because they spent a certain amount, or
Right.
yeah, it's just you can also vet people based on what they expect you to do,
Right.
based on like what they do for you. Like,
Right. Exactly. And you know, it's so funny because they're like, "Oh, I'm doing you this favor." Like, dude, you eat here anyway. Like,
exactly.
you do this anyway. This is a place you go anyway. Like, you know, I mean, this is your like turf. This is your stomping ground. You know,
Yeah,
even
and
I remember.
yeah, that might be why there's a whole rule that women have about the coffee dates. It might be to weed out men who are into like, oh, you know, I spent this amount, so I should get this.
Right.
That might be
I
one
do
of the
too.
reasons. But yeah, don't let that eliminate a whole different section of men, right? Because they're vetting you as well. And I'm not sure if my husband is here, but anyway, so he was talking about how women would ask different things, for instance, like to come on Skype dates with like just to see if he's a real person.
Right.
But apparently there's this trend of women using, like they would do something like reveal something in that Skype video, and they'll be like, oh, you need to pay me, right? So
yeah.
also men are also in danger from like all these different women who are into different things, you know? So they're also vetting you, right? So don't shoot yourself in the foot and say, oh, I don't do this. I don't like coffee dates or just like picnic dates or blah blah, because like they're also vetting you, like
Right.
vetting each other.
Right, exactly. Like, yeah, and I think maybe sometimes like they're gauging for a reaction, which is why, you know, I mean, I know like Afrocentric woman was saying like how there's ways you can parlay it into being with, you know, the feminine power of suggestion to kind of get maybe him to do something else. And also too, I think like keeping time limits. I would only suggest 30 to 45 minutes for a coffee date, right? And then, I mean, like I know one thing we were doing with my friend Kenya was we had our meeting up at this really nice mall, right? And across the street from the mall was a Whole Foods. So we were scheduling the coffee or drinks only dates around this nice mall. And then because she was already dressed up, now she's in a position to walk around, right? Already dressed up, makeup's already on. And then this also can help her develop a level of safety because she's not walking right back to her car.
Oh yeah.
So so that's the thing. Like we just kind of, and then also too, you know, you're right around the Whole Food, you know, because that's a really strategic place to meet men, as the grocery store around dinner time, because for the most part, men don't meal prep.
Oh, okay.
But you're kind of like it was like right, it's in a high end area. So as those guys are coming home, they're heading into the Whole Foods, and you're already out.
Oh, thank you, Albany. She likes my skin. Thank you.
Yeah, skin by Mented.
Yeah.
Yeah. That brand has too much of my money, honey. Yeah, and then also too, we were booking more than one in a day. Like coffee and drink, we were booking more than one in a day, and it really helped build her confidence. And that's the thing, like, you know. Just really to just get yourself out there, because I think that's the biggest problem. There's a lot of strategy, you know, out there. But like, hey, how do we just get the people who are not in the game in the game?
Exactly. Yeah. Make dating like a game or something fun for you to do. So like, see how you can talk to a person, and you always also should have interests outside of dating at the same time. So I don't know, maybe you might be into hiking, so you can be like, oh yeah, I like hiking to this at this place, and we need to cut this date short, right? So like you can set time limits by saying, oh, I need to go and do this activity that you're into, because you'll be talking to them in the back end, or like with chatting, and be like, oh yeah, I'm into hiking. And then when you're during the, you know, coffee date, you can be like, oh yeah, after this, I'll be meeting up with my girlfriends and we're going hiking. So you're not just saying you're into these different activities during chats, you're actually doing it.
Right. Exactly. And I think like one of the things that we were doing too was scheduling a lot of these dates during major sporting events. So that way you can hit the sports bar afterwards and you have plans, and there are going to be people who are going to meet you there.
So you were like her wing woman.
Yeah, exactly. Because I felt like she was so, and then too, like she would get there and she would just choose the weird, like, what are you doing? Like who, I don't know what I mean, did you just do eeny, meeny, miny, mo? I don't know how you ended up. You know what I mean? Girl, she turned down a podiatrist, honey. And I was like, okay, time out. And I get it, because first of all, guys in the medical field, let's be honest, they don't know how to dress. Let's be real. If we're 100% real, you wear scrubs all the time. You don't know how to dress. And you could tell the photos were from like the promotional photos from his practice. Okay. Right. You can kind of tell, right? And I'm saying, like, listen, even if you do not like the guy, we are both runners over 40. You need to be in this for the orthotics.
Oh, yeah.
Be in this for the insoles. Look out for your girl, because we need it. You know what I mean? Look out for the shoe. Listen, listen, we just need to get the shoe insoles right now. We're runners over 40. Girl, you better get some orthotics out of this date.
That's smart, yeah. Always think about like always think ahead as to like what your future will be like with this person. Yeah. Instead of just what they look like or what kind of car they drive or all these superficial things. Because my husband, when we first started dating, he was not like suave or, you know, like with the, you know, what is it, ironed out shirt and button down, whatever. Like he's a tech bro. Like he doesn't even comb his hair during Zoom meetings, he told me. So
if I could just, if you the man, why is it? Because my husband's in tech too, and now he's in a management position. He'll get his team together. That whole team look like they never heard of fabric softener. Like what? No. Why y'all all look like dirty laundry?
Yeah, that's the tech field. Yeah, they don't care. Actually, I heard. So I'm going into the tech field as well, and I'm actually going to a coding boot camp right now. Wow. So that's why I'm not posting videos on my channel. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's really intensive. But in tech, people are so, I guess, focused into coding that they don't care about how they look. So actually, when you're interviewing for tech jobs, you shouldn't dress in a shirt and a jacket, all that, like, because they'll be like, wait, are you trying to like be a manager or like a CEO? Because only they would dress like that. So you can just be in a t-shirt, you know?
Right. Yeah, that was a learning curve. Like you come out of, first of all, being an athlete where you don't have to dress up, to being in the military where you have a uniform, to being in tech where everybody dresses crazy. Now that he's in a management position, that's been a learning curve. You know, that's been a huge learning curve. And sometimes as a woman who does have a little bit more insight into fashion, they value that. So yeah, you know, they value like your help in that area. I know my husband has been very, very grateful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that I've been helping, you know, now that he has a management position. Like, yeah, you can't be, you know, looking like who did it and ran.
So you would buy him clothes or whatever, like pick up things?
Yeah, I help him out a lot. And then too, I make sure that it's mix and match. So even if I'm not there, he can still pick something out. And again, we do a lot of low maintenance, wrinkle free, because he's not. You know,
I should do that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Duluth Trading Company is going to be your best friend because, you know, sometimes, you know, they do, and they you know, and they're very, very grateful. You know, he's been very grateful for that. Yeah, but yeah, and you're right. I tend to agree that sometimes we don't always know what money looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Because money looks differently in different
cultures.
Yeah.
And that was another thing too. And that was another thing too. When we started walking around like a lot of the high-end malls a lot, and then, you know, didn't really realize like, hey, Birkenstocks aren't cheap. You know, those shirts from Untucked, they're not cheap. So, you know, now you know, like some of those watches, even some of these Omega watches with leather bands are a lot more expensive than some of these iced out, blinged out wrists that we used to see in sometimes. So, you know, so let's just hope that, you know, we can get Black women out of their comfort zone so they can start, you know, meeting people and learning different value systems and recognizing the flex in other cultures.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't know my husband, you know, had money. I was just into, I guess, how nice he was. And from the beginning, I felt super comfortable with him. So always trust your womanly intuition. It's a
very
gift
true
that we should use. So yeah, exercise how people show their flex, like you said. Yeah, you wouldn't know because his car is like, is it called hand me down from his brother? He's in tech, so everyone knows how much they make. You know, his parents like have a really expensive house, and like he has his own house. I also have my own house, so that's also another thing to note is you should also have your own money. Like, don't always be like, like in these level up movement or luxury movement and hypergamy. It is a good message. It's just also focus on yourself. It's not a bad thing to have money. Like you should have money. You should pursue education, higher education, because I mean, God forbid, like if anything happens between you two, you need to have something to fall back on. Right?
Yeah. And not to mention the fact that even so, it's not even like, because we always think divorce. What about accident, injury, or illness? And I mean, maybe I'm saying that because I'm in the medical field and I see it so often,
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I just find like
anything can happen.
And for that, yeah, anything can happen. And we both did come to our marriage with property. We both did sign a prenup. And
we signed a prenup too, by the way.
Yeah,
I can talk about prenups all day.
Yeah.
You don't need to be rich to get a prenup.
No, you don't. And I wish that he would have secured more than he did in the prenup, in my opinion, because sometimes I feel like lawyers are very predatory and they try to get you to liquidate things, and then they take their fee at the top. That's how it works here in Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, liquidate that because she might take it, and then they take their fees.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
So I was like,
secure, okay.
Yeah. So secure that stuff. I understand why he didn't secure all he did, because I don't think he knew what he had was valuable, or he didn't see it that way. But I think prenups are a great idea. But yeah, because he has like a lot of memorabilia from when he played baseball, and I'm like, I get that these are your friends, but your friends are like Hall of Fame nominated player.
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get they're your friends. I get like it was custom for you and your friends to, like, when you first made it to the big leagues, to sign each other's baseball cards and give it to each other. But now that your friend, you know what I mean, is like on the all-star team, that's a valuable asset now, So I get it, But going back to like online dating, I mean, that common interest we had in baseball was what brought us together. So definitely, please make sure you guys are, for sure pursuing your interest, because think about that. If you're building confidence up on the online dating, when Major League Baseball season comes, now you have the confidence to go out and initiate those conversations.
Yeah, and like I'm half Ethiopian, half Jamaican, so I have like Caribbean heritage and East African heritage, and he's Vietnamese American, and we are both really into cultures and trying different foods and drinks, and that was like one big link between us, because he's super into like trying different flavors. So like there's this berbere, mitmita, injera, all these different things in Ethiopian food that he's like, oh, this tastes delicious, and I was like, oh, hot man. And I also tried his cultural foods, especially before I turned into being strictly pescatarian. I would eat like all these bang, like I forget the terms, but there's all sorts of Vietnamese cuisine out there, and his family would kind of like test me with like, oh, taste this kind of dish, and I'll be like, interesting.
Yeah,
but you have to taste it at least. That's how you show respect to other cultures. Instead of being like, oh no, that smells bad or looks bad, you have to like taste it, and you can be like, oh, I like this, or I don't like it. So feel free to also not eat it if you don't like it. Like there's this dish called balut. Balut is like between the egg. It's like
Uh-huh.
it's like partially formed chicken.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it has like bones and feathers forming, and they just like and eat it. And I've never tasted it, and I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able
I've
to.
tasted it. Yeah. Like,
Do
I
you
was
like
stationed, I was stationed in Asia, and I know like it was common
okay.
in like Filipino restaurants there when I was stationed overseas.
Mm.
So so I never like I had no problem with trying food, but I just thought it was real interesting how your spouse cooks, because my spouse does not. He does not. But
Yeah.
yeah, he and I love that. I love, but I just noticed Puerto Rican food, almost everything is heavily salted and deep fried.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever tried Puerto Rican
Yeah,
food.
yeah. Almost everything is Puerto Rican and deep fried and full of meat. So yeah, it's 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 been like a
And
really, really
I
great
learned how to use
kind of.
chopsticks before we
Yeah,
met. That's where you're also very useful when you're like dating Asian men. Um, like use chopsticks,
right.
practice. And also, I mean, I live at his house now, so I moved here, and we always eat rice and all that stuff.
Right.
I wish I could like. I wish I learned how to cook like Ethiopian food. Like no one taught me in my household
Mhm.
because like they wanted the girls to focus more on education instead of like
Right.
preparing to be a wife. So they, anyways. So I don't know how to make what or whatever. So yeah,
Right.
that's the only reason we eat only Vietnamese food at the house.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I think being African American, cooking is a big deal. Like it's a big deal. Like
Mm,
yeah, and also like coming out of an HBCU, it's a big deal. Yeah.
interesting.
So yeah, and so but believe it or not, so much of the food that I eat as an African American, he's had back where he's from. And they just call it something different. So
Okay.
like when I first made pigeon peas and rice, he was like, "Oh, you can make arroz con condoles?" I'm like, "I don't know what you just said, but this is my nana's pigeon peas and rice. You can have a plate." So yeah, it was like so much of and then finally when I went to Puerto Rico, especially going to places like Luisa and places like parts of Bayamon and Fajardo, you see there's like a lot of like people of African descent. So I can totally see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess like when you are out there meeting people, just make sure you are a great listener, and you're going to find out that you have way more in common than you think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's so good to really practice those active listening skills, those conversation initiation, and just continue to put yourself out there, because it's going to be a process. And the earlier you
Mm-hmm.
start it, the better you're going to get at it.
Yep. Yep. And actually, like before I met my husband again, I I still have Vietnamese friends,
Right.
Vietnamese girlfriends. So, you can learn about different cultures through different color, like different girlfriends who are from different cultures. So, like when I was going to community college, in my local community college, there were a lot of exchange students. And I would join different clubs, like anime club. There's like Amway, blah blah, like pyramid scheme, or what is it called, MLM clubs and all
Yeah.
that.
Multi-level marketing. Yeah.
Join all these like ping pong club and all that stuff, and I made a lot of friends, and we're still friends. And they actually one of them, uh, she gave me good advice on like just go to court and get married because I was stressed out about like the pandemic and how I wouldn't be able to have like the typical wedding. But she was like, "Yeah, just go to court and like it's really cheap and all that stuff." And I was like, "Okay." So that's the reason why I had the kind of wedding that I had. It's because of my Vietnamese girlfriend.
Right. Yeah, we just got married overseas simply because we were overseas, so we didn't have like much of a choice. And I think too, faith-based people tend to get married pretty quickly. So yeah, so we kind of had to like, because if we didn't, and also too, if you didn't get married, you didn't get stationed together. So that had a lot to do with it. But your friends are really, really, really going to be instrumental. So if you are putting up an online dating profile, please get a friend to look at the pictures, take pictures for you, help you with some of your matches if you're initially nervous about getting started.
Yeah.
Did you have a friend help you?
Vet people.
Yeah. Did you have a friend help you?
I did not. Maybe I should have.
Yeah. Well, hey, you made the objective.
But yeah. It was a journey, I would say. It wasn't smooth, but
right. Yeah. But so we're at like an hour and a half. So what would be your final advice to Black women to better optimize their online dating experience?
I would say, the most important person in the relationship is yourself. So always develop yourself, focus on your growth, on your psychology, and develop different interests and hobbies and pursue them. And then you will always have something to talk about. And you'll have the self-confidence to, step away from situations that don't serve you.
Right.
When you have that kind of self-assurance. So work on yourself, number one.
Exactly. And my suggestion is just to get out there, to put out the profiles, start weeding through it, start, just gauging different experiences and people and profiles, and don't be afraid to find out if this app is worth the paid subscription or if this app is even worth your time, because you have to remember that you're the prize on these apps. Women are so far outnumbered. So continue to get out there and just try to work it, because you might find out, and not take these things personal. Because you might find out that maybe the app is not for you, or that zip code is not for you. And that's all going to be a learning process. So just enter that learning process now, so that when you're at your best self and as you're growing and as you're, losing weight, starting your own business, getting your education, so that way when you arrive, you have an algorithm that serves you.
Exactly. It's all about ones and zeros. So don't take offense by how things appear. And always know that apps are created by humans that have bias. So take things with a grain of salt, and always do your research as far as the whole the website I told you guys about. I'll put it in the chat. The Monster Match is really good.
Right. And I'll post it, and you can put it in the description box for people to click onto it, so that people.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, so that people can just make sure that they're getting everything that they want out of their experience. And even though it takes time and it takes vetting and it takes energy, it's really worth it in the end when you end up building that confidence and that social skill set.
Oh, and I wanted to share, I have a website.
Okay.
So it's butterflybush.org. So I have all the, my podcast, Where to Find, Lines Between the Stars, and Anchor.fm. Oops. Okay. Anchor.fm, Spotify, Google Podcast Breaker. There's the YouTube Summary Bliss, YouTube for the podcasts. The books I'm reading.
Right. I'm gonna check
this
that out.
This one I really recommend, Come As You Are, because it talks about women's sexuality, being okay with your body. Like, it's really good. I recommend the audiobook. Art of War for Women, Virtue of Selfishness by Ayn Rand.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, like it's okay to be selfish.
It sure is. That was that's a great one. It's been a while since I've read that one.
Then I have this area. It's the Purple Pill Effort. How to like find pink pills, different sides. And also Kendall St. Charles, how to like get on her mailing list and all that stuff. You can find it here.
Yeah, I know she's going to be underground for a while, so yeah.
Oh yeah. My life changed because of all the different courses that I took, like Magic of Self one, all that stuff. And
wow,
I think it boosted my self-esteem to learn that like we as Black women, we have to think of ourselves as goddesses, you know? Mm-hmm. And then when you're thinking of yourself as goddess, then you're like, would a goddess accept low treatment and low, all that stuff? Then the answer is no.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And it does. And I think like as we're on that self-growth journey, it's as long as you're out there meeting people and you have your boundaries in place, please, ladies, don't be too afraid to engage. And as you're growing, because it can take a long time to find a good therapist. You don't want to sit on the sidelines of your life,
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a Black woman. It could be a white man who might be the best therapist for you.
Right. That's a journey in itself. Because like, oh, when I get therapy, I'm gonna go out there and date. No, start now. Because I'm gonna tell you, I'll be real. I mean, me and my husband, we were just out at this wine bar place, and dysfunctional women are killing the game right now.
Oh,
these women who are wearing sweatpants to sports bars and talking about their Prozac prescriptions and all this. I'm like, wow, dysfunctional women are winning. Like, man, you guys are going to a really nice wine bar with your pajama pants on, and you have some Black woman who's like, oh, I need to lose 17 pounds and I need to go to therapy. Nope. Prozac Patty is out there in her pajama pants. Swooning your man. But yeah, definitely get out there, ladies. Get out there.
Oh yeah, thank you for hosting me.
Thank you so much, and make sure that when the video posts up, put all of your socials in the comment section so that people who watch the rebroadcast can find you.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.